Good morning, everybody. A couple of people in here the day said break a leg, but I've already done it. For those of you who know me, you'll know I do some poetry in Aberdonian Doric and some in English, and for those that you don't, I've just tell you that's what I do. So I'm going to start with a Doric poem from Wanderlust Women, and yeah, I know what it is. So I'm going to also do you a very quick Doric lesson, just so that it makes it. Some of you will know that loons means boys or young men in Aberdonian Doric, and some of you will know that quines means girl or young woman. A couple of other words are, right, ahin means everything, and a hin means behind, and just really big differences there. Like, what else? Doups means your backside, and lousing, or louse, it's derived from the idea of unhitching the horses from the carts and the ploughs, and it means unfastening or loosening. And styes means corsets, and skinkling means sparkling. Okay? So this is Woodstock to Aberdeen, and for those that are too young to remember, Woodstock was a famous 1960s, I think, festival, hippie festival. So, Woodstock to Aberdeen. She was just 10-year-old, fan Joni stilled her uneasy heart, singing, "We are stardust, we are golden." At that age, when you begin to question ahin, and a ride trying to work out who you are. Her granny tutted and her ma was black affronted when the TV showed bare-breasted quines, lang hair and slender limbs, their wild flowers and their bonny bricht orbs with their doups ahin. We get glimpses as they cavorted in the skinkling water o' Fox River, with the loons fa after a while barely batted their een doon on Yasgur's ferm. Quines free to have the fun that loons I teen for granted, throwing off the yoke o' I having to carry the weight of the world's morality. A world awa, they never been able to louse the styes o' your imperfections in her father's hoose, for dyed hair and make-up made you nothing short o' a whore. So the next two poems are really short, so you might not feel like clapping, but if you do, wait till the second dean's done. So I was lucky enough, my friend was an aid worker in Kenya, and I was lucky enough to go and spend a decent bit of time there. And one of the things that we did, we flew from Nairobi to a bush airstrip on the Masai Mara, for an eco safari, which was one of the most fantastic experiences I've had in my life. And when we flew in this flight, we also crossed the Great Rift Valley. So the first little tiny one is about the flight, and the second one's about the Great Rift Valley. During parts of the flight on a 12-seater airplane from Jomo Kenyatta to Naboisho Olseki, on an air current's whim, the plane quivered, flew very low, then very high, and it felt as if nothing much separated us from the 25,000-foot drop to the ochre and burnt orange earth below. And this one's the Great Rift Valley. This vast upwelling of the earth's crust gave birth to the verdant green Cherangani hills, a chain of still active volcanoes, all human life as we know it, and Kenya's Great Lakes. To the west of sparkling Lake Baringo rose the Tugan Hills, where hominid fossils from 14 million years ago were found, and on its shores, rubies and rose sapphires. Flying over Lake Bogoria, a caustic cauldron fringed by geysers spurting columns of steaming water, I saw a flock of over 1 million pink flamingos, and I felt the earth move within me. So this is, I suppose, back to the theme of travel, and it's about basically a day at the Uffizi in Florence, the Uffizi Gallery, and this one's in English as well. And it's not in any of the books, this is a newer one. Long before they arrived, he had booked their tickets. They joked that he wasn't often wrong, and that yet again he was right when they bypassed the long snaking queue, the throng trying in vain to find shade from the sizzling midday sun. Inside the Uffizi it was oh so cool. Botticelli's The Birth of Venus, reproduced so many times, perhaps its impact would be lessened. Yet its sheer size and alluring beauty in the flesh, the folds of fabric and floating flowers left them breathless. They stayed for only a brief encounter with Titian's Venus of Urbino, eroticism already their constant companion in need of a distraction. They compared notes on her rage, her power, reflected in the physicality and violence of Artemisia Gentileschi's Judith slaying Holofernes, with that of Caravaggio's. His rendition made less chilling by Judith's diminution, the crease of feeling on her forehead as she looks into his eyes while slicing the sword through his neck. And even without Perseus in the painting, Caravaggio confers his greater power by the horror depicted in the face of Medusa on the mirrored shield that finally defeats her. The wall plaque says it's an exploration of opposites and the nature of art. Hours later, at Leo Kuhn and his sons, they are mute with longing, and the impressions the statue makes, their eyes travelling fractured lifelines in the marble. Though Leo Kuhn was a seer priest, he did not foresee their fate. Mortal agony moves in his face as Athena's serpents twist around their writhing bodies. Unlike religious art, there's no redemption in their suffering, yet beauty and grace remains. Okay, so there's a new collection, a collaborative collection that I'm in, and it'll be launched on the 8th of August. I'm in it with two other brilliant poets. It's a completely Doric Aberdonian collection. Well, they're sort of more country, so we all sound slightly different, but it's a Doric collection called Northern Licht. So I'm going to read one wee poem for that. I suppose this thing is also a bit of a journey of a relationship. It's very short, and it's called...
Never.
Yeah. Oh, I better say, so meint is the word for remembered, and yerd is the word for earth or ground or dirt. And what's the other one? I mentioned Lausanne already. I think that's... Oh, and pioque. Pioque is the word for bag. So this is called Kissing. She meant a time when their lips were tumescent wi' wind, and yet soft-petalled, trembling with the dew o' new love, breathing moisture into barren yerd. The lippid tingle beginning with the first brush, then the rush to consume a' that een another had to offer, till Lausanne time came and went, to mak een another hail again. Now, as you can feel as how far you've retreated for the surface of your skin. When you pucker up, it's like a ticht, drawstrand pioque, making damned sure you gain nothing but the staleness o' breath that barely kens its living.
Wow.
And this scene is another new one, and it's just called Yes. So here it goes. I don't think there's anything else I need to explain. Nah. It's got a sweary word in it, so. just in case anybody's easily offended. Its arrival that day registered as a softly sucking sensation at the corner of her lips when she whispered, yes. It made a shiffing soon when she slipped it in atween the pages of her other official documents. The culmination of a process that maybe began within a year, unravelling o'er the next 4, when it became ever more clear she couldn't live up to being the ripe red cherry on top of a cake baked to the specific recipe for his happiness that he'd been perfecting all his days. And seeing as he measured abdy else by who he approached his life, her needs and tastes could never have influenced the nature of the beast. That night, with a friend who is a pure fuck-off poet, she rocked out to Howlin' Wolf, and for the first time in a long while felt the music thrum between her thighs. Okay, that's the wrong list there. Okay, so I'm going to do another one from Wanderlust if I've got time, and I've got 2 minutes. Oh, I've got 3 minutes, right? Okay, I'll be quick. So this one, would you believe, is about running. So page 53. So yeah, it's called Running for Her Life. I've been told I probably won't ever run again, but anyway, that's another story. For almost 6 years, her forever restlessness ceased. They became so absorbed with one another, their love was timeless in interface. He was a marathon runner, so they took to running together, he doing his best to slow his pace so she could keep up with his youthful stamina. But inevitably the age gap sat that their paths diverged, and so began the run of her life as she strove to outrun her own intimers. Intimers means your insides. On the face of it she looked the same, but our lust for life was dashed on the yard that her running beat her body, feet sare upon. Deathly slow at first, the years eventually passed. She ran the path so Glasgow green and drowned her tears in the River Clyde, trying to outrun memories of their 14-mile run by Melbourne's St Kilda shoreline. She ran Aberdeen's Aldeside rail track that was closed in '66, knew a cycling and walking path, edged with thick shrubs and trees that greened her in for the life he'd lived forever after with somebody else. She heard Cadunia goat bells clink clink the hollow at her core as she ran Svaka's Cretan foothills. And in the wee reed tooney o' Kirriemuir, with its carpet o' green fae Belly's Brae doon to the weeping willows at the Geary Burn and the Aldred Sandstein Mill, she ran the rutted tracks that edged the Yalla rapeseed fields. She heard the lub-dub beat in her lugs, the strength muscle her legs, felt her ain bleed begin to warm and float into Adelang Deeden perts, and the heel strike as if a spunk spark in her licht. Heard cloudburst then torrential rain, like tender fingers on her skin, soaking her fae heed to fit, felt it kiss her lips, and finally kent that it was to be hersel again.
Yep.
Very quick, hopefully 1 minute. So, alright, okay. So I'm just going to finish with this scene called Some Enchanted Evening. It's over. She's sad but free, stepping out that night, a lightness in her step, the silk scarf around her neck waving in the breeze. She could easily be a 50s movie star a la Grace Kelly or Gina Lollobrigida. The sun shines and the city sparkles as she and a friend descend into the throng in the pub. Her senses are alive to the chink of ice against the glass and the gasp as the gin trickles over it. The slice of lemon smells like heaven. Then there's a tug on her scarf and she turns to find a guy hanging on the end of it. He has a robotic grin and eyes which oscillate like the bubbles in a spirit level until they come to rest on her breasts. Then he asks, Are you no talking? She replies, yes, I'm having a meaningful chat with my friend here. No, I mean, you're no talking to us. Do you want a drink? No, not at the moment, thanks. Come on, you'll discover how sexy I am. I've got a dick about 1.5 feet long. That's not really sexy now, is it? That's more like you're a walking prick. And with that, her enchanted evening shone a little less brightly.